Marietu Sidibe, and this is QTV News coming to you live from our studios on Kairaba Avenue. Thanks for joining us. And now, here are the main local and sports news headlines. Justice Basiru VP Mahoney of the Banjul High Court on Friday ruled that the local government minister has powers to establish a commission of inquiry into alleged fraud at the KMC but lacked the authority to give some other powers he gave that commission. High Court Judge Justice Zainab Jawara Alami on Friday ordered the release of Lieutenant General Sol Baji and 2 others after they were detained without charge following their return from Equatorial Guinea. The Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs on Thursday briefed the National Assembly on the implementation and monitoring of the government's 2021 annual budget. In international news, February 4th is observed every year as World Cancer Day to raise awareness of cancer and encourage its prevention, detection and treatment. And in sports, Senegal reached the Africa Cup of Nations AFCON final on Wednesday following a hard-fought 3-1 win over Burkina Faso, and Egypt beat host Cameroon to reach the AFCON final. Those were our main headlines. Now the news in detail. Justice Basiru VP Mahoney of the Banjul High Court on Friday ruled that the local government minister has powers to establish a commission of inquiry into alleged fraud at the KMC but lacks the powers to give the powers of a high court to the commission, or to order the police to provide protection, or to order the Attorney General to provide counsel. Alusise was at the court and he now reports.
In an application filed at the High Court in Banjul on 18 January 2022, the KMC, represented by counsels Aziz Bensouda and Yasin Senghor, said the first respondent, the Minister of Local Government and Lands, Musa Drame, acted outside of his powers by not following the mandatory preconditions for the institution of a commission to investigate allegations of fraud at the council, and failed to comply with the rules of natural justice by not sharing the inspector's report, meaning the respondent thus denied the applicant an opportunity to be heard and to know the allegations against it. The minister instituted the commission following the release of a report by the inspectors into alleged corruption involving the KMC CEO last year. Counsels Binga D and SL Jabate for State submit that the minister acted in accordance with the Local Government Act in setting up the commission and was not under duty to disclose to the KMC the inspector's report. In a 22-page ruling delivered on the application for the High Court to quash the establishment of the Commission of Inquiry into allegations of fraud and malpractice at the Cardiff Municipal Council by the Minister of Local Government and Lands, Justice Basiru Mahoney of the Banjul High Court said the decision of the minister to set up a commission will give the council every opportunity of being heard and know the allegations against it. He said the terms of reference or functions of the commission are restricted to the wrongful performance of a duty or power of the council and to irregularities identified in the inspection report. Therefore, any term of reference or function of the commission that do not relate to the irregularities from the inspection report are made in excess of the power authorized and ultravirus. A perusal of the inspection report and the legal notice instituting the commission reveals that all the functions of the commission relate to irregularities apparent from the inspection report. End of quote, he told the court. Ultravirus meaning beyond the powers. It describes action taken by the government bodies or corporations that exceed the scope of power given to them by law. Justice Mahoney ruled that the minister has the powers to institute a commission of inquiry but lacks the powers under any law to give the power of a High Court judge to the commission, or to order the police to provide protection, or to order the Attorney General to provide counsel. The Commission of Inquiry Act, as well as the Constitution, only relates to commissions established by the President, said the judge, as he quashed this part of the commission. He maintains that the remaining parts establishing the Commission of Inquiry into allegations of fraud and malpractice at the Cardiff Municipal Council and for the connected matters remain valid and effective. On the issue of cost of the application, taking into consideration that the application is in the public interest and both sides cooperated extremely well in getting an expeditious resolution of the dispute, he ordered each side to bear their own cost. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cisse.
A High Court judge, Justice Zainab Jawara Alami, on Friday ordered the release of Lieutenant General Sol Baji and 2 others after they were detained last month without being charged following their return from Equatorial Guinea. Babu Karsi has the rest of that story.
Justice Zainab Jawara Alami set the ruling for Friday to decide the legality of keeping Lieutenant General Sol Baji, Major Landin Tamba and Warrant Officer Musa Baji for 90 days at the State Central Prison. General Sol Baji and co returned to the Gambia at the end of December from Equatorial Guinea, where they were with the former head of state Yaya Jammeh. The state's position is that these 3 should be kept in custody pending further investigations, saying releasing the 3 would potentially threaten state security. The state filed an application seeking a court order to keep Sol Baji and the 2 others in detention for 90 days to allow further investigation pending preferring of formal charges. The application is supported by an affidavit sworn to by Inspector Jali M.I. Senghor of the Gambia Police Force. Senghor said these soldiers did not have the permission of the Gambia Armed Forces Command to go on this journey and to remain for the duration of time they spent in Equatorial Guinea. He said the army at some time declared them deserters. Senghor said Sol Baji was the commander of the State Guard and de facto commanding officer of the hit squad, while the other 2 were members of the Junglers hit squad. Releasing them into public while investigations are ongoing is counterproductive to the investigation and could pose a serious national security threat, Senghor stated in the affidavit in support. Justice Jawara Alami, in her ruling on Friday, ordered the immediate release of the 3 detainees. The court held that their prolonged detention without charge is a violation of their fundamental rights enshrined in the Constitution. She maintained that it is unlawful to keep someone in detention beyond 72 hours without a charge. She said the Constitution guarantees the right to liberty and security of every person, adding no one should be subject to arbitrary arrest and detention. The judge said it is very clear that Sol Baji and the others were detained based on suspicion of having committed a crime. The Attorney General argued that a charge exists in the TRRC report, adding the findings of the Truth Commission suggest the commission of grave crimes by the 3 detainees. The judge disagreed with the Attorney General's position, saying TRRC has the mandate to investigate and make recommendations which were submitted to the President. She relied on case law to say Commission's findings and recommendations cannot be enforced without court sanctions. She held that the finding of the TRRC does not mean a charge. Babu Karsi, QTV News.
The Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs has on Thursday briefed the National Assembly on the implementation and monitoring of the 2021 government's annual budget. The update puts infrastructure, basic and secondary education and health at the top of the total annual budget expenditure. Momodu Laminchai reports.
The executive, represented by the Finance Minister, Mambo Njai, goes back to the legislature to update norms about its implementation and monitoring of government's 2021 approved budget as at the end of December 2021. The Finance Minister begins by updating the chamber that in total $20.83 billion was spent from the budget, indicating a 6% increase from 2020.
The top spending budget line items are subventions, $2.91 billion, roads and bridges, $2.19 billion, operating costs, $520 million, settlement of confirmed debts, $516 million, travel expenses, $319 million, food and food services, $301 million, vehicles, $291 million, school improvement grants, $289 million, general pension benefits, $244 million, and purchase of fuel and lubricants, $228 million.
Bagari Kamara, NAM for Kiang Central, asks for an explanation of government's expenditure on vehicles and travel.
The other ones about vehicles, just remember that the vehicles also includes the ambulances. It also includes the ambulances. For the fuel, we can give you the breakdown of all the sectors and how they were allocated.
Topping the list of expenditure by ministries are Works, Transport and Infrastructure, Basic and Secondary Education, and Ministry of Health. All of these carried the highest allocation in the 2021 budget, an indication of government's development priorities. Here is Minister Njai again.
The top 3 spending ministries during the period under review are Ministry of Basic Education, Basic and Secondary Education, $2.83 billion. Ministry of Transport, Works and Infrastructure, $2.76 billion. And Ministry of Health, $1.69 billion.
Government's expenditure on debt servicing, personal emolument, and capital expenditure have gone up in 2021 and more than that of 2020. Almost half of ministries, departments, and agencies spent 100 more than their initially approved budget. This includes the IEC, Ministry of Works, Transport and Infrastructure, and Ministry of Information, Communication and Infrastructure. For a more effective oversight, the NAMS wanted from the Finance Minister a detailed update about government's budget implementation and monitoring. Though the minister at the time of this briefing is unable to meet that expectation, he has promised to get the Assembly copies of the expenditure briefing. At least $22 billion was the total budget initially approved for 2021. Later that same year, the government, through a supplementary appropriation bill, requested an additional $1.7 billion, of which $1.5 billion was finally approved. Mohamed Lamin Choi, QTV News.
We will now go for a commercial break. When we return, we have some more local and sports news stories. Do stay tuned.
Separatists in the Casamas
Presidential Task Force. We are not deploying against anybody. Forest to be almost deforested.
What caused this clash?
Timber.
The situation at the time.
7,000 troops were ready to come into the Gambia.
Following a truck that came from Casamas, played on this very television on Kachadula. They have seen it and they took no action. Checkpoint, who actually they are like robots, walked from their checkpoint to the driver to be handed $1,000 or $1,500.
There is connivance. Backway syndrome. Okay.
That's disaster management.
Are you calling me reactive or proactive?
What is your focus?
What are your threats?
What do they mean by transforming this mission into a police mission?
Economic will start scaling down. You're going to have police force, and some countries have already offered.
Is that right?
Well, CD, you have the answer, and you are still asking.
State of Affairs, airing on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. on QTV.
I am the light goddess. Everything I touch turns into light. I am the light at the end of the tunnel, and my technology is the answer. I am the happiness in your life. I keep you connected, and I am Q-Power. I am Q-Cell. I am Sunibus. We innovate, others follow. Call 111 for more information.
Welcome back. The Gambia Investment and Export Promotion Agency GAIPA, in partnership with Oakwood Green Africa and Afreximbank, on Wednesday launched the Gambia Roadshow initiative to develop capacity and empower African businesses and the banking communities. Babukar C. attended the event and files in this report.
The theme of the roadshow, supporting the Africa Trade Agenda, is in line with the advent of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, to which the Gambia is a signatory. The roadshow is initiated by the Africa Import-Export Bank and Oakwood Green Africa to help support businesses and the continent's economy. The CEO of GAIPA, Usainu Senghor, said his institution will continue to promote a conducive business environment, attract investments, supporting businesses with the overriding objective of contributing towards value addition, employment creation and wealth generation.
Oakwood Green Africa aspires to be the de facto architect of capital, investments and remittance flows into and across the Africa continent. It pursues inter-Africa trade whilst leaving an open line to everyone seeking to do business on the continent. Africa Export-Import Bank, on the other hand, is the Trade Finance Bank for Africa. It supports a wide range of clients that are direct operators in the trade ecosystem.
Sekou Jabi, the first deputy governor of Central Bank of the Gambia, says the roadshow initiative will promote intra-African trade through the Africa Import-Export Bank and other partners.
According to the African Development Bank's Africa Trade Finance Survey report, trade finance gap in 2012 was estimated at $105 billion from $120 billion in 2011. Despite this improvement, the gap remains significant. The report highlighted weak client creditworthiness, poor networking, insufficient capital collateral as the main drivers of the bank's rejection of trade finance applications, with competition, compliance issues, weak risk management systems, insufficient risk capital, and limits the corresponding banks as the main constraint faced by banks.
Eric Monchu Intong, the regional chief operating officer of Africa Import-Export Bank, said they hope the pilot project will be successful for the business community in the Gambia.
Afrexim Bank's mandate enables the bank to complement what financial institutions do in financing key sectors in the country to foster economic growth. A bank does not compete with financial institutions, but rather works with and through financial institutions to support strategic sectors of the economy.
The Honorable Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs, Mambure Njai, congratulated GAIPA for bringing in Afrexim Bank and Oakwood Grain Africa in the Gambia.
I can assure you that my ministry, that's the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs, and the Central Bank will provide all the necessary assistance, both for Afrexim Bank and Oakwood Grain need that the assistance they needed for the operations of in the Gambia, and therefore I'm urging mutual cooperations among all partners for the mutual benefits of all of us.
It is hoped that the Africa Import-Export Bank and Oakwood Grain Africa will offer additional capacity and support to the Gambian business sector, the continent and the world at large. Babu Karsi, QTV News.
In international news, February 4th is observed every year as World Cancer Day to raise the awareness of cancer and encourage its prevention, detection and treatment. Lole M. Kamara looks at the importance of the day.
The theme for this year's World Cancer Day is Close the Care Gap. According to the UN, the theme is about identifying and addressing the barriers that exist for many people around the world in terms of access to the care they need. Cancer is the second leading cause of death worldwide, accounting for nearly 10 million deaths in 2020. The disease can penetrate and destroy body cells and tissues. Created in 2000 at the World Summit Against Cancer for the New Millennium in Paris, the declaration was launched under the leadership of UICC at the World Cancer Congress in Washington in 2006. Redefined and adapted at the World Cancer Leaders Summit in Geneva in 2008, and again in 2013 to align it with the Global Action Plan for the Prevention and Control of Non-Communicable Disease 2013-2020. The Paris Charter aims to promote research, prevent cancer, improve patient services, raise awareness, and mobilize the global community to make progress against cancer. Ade Drami, head of QTV News and a trustee founder member of Sierra Leone Cancer Charity, spoke to us about his charity and the importance of the day.
In the case of Sierra Leone, before we came along, the country did not even have a national cancer register. And so we, meaning us, the charity, we actually set up that on behalf of the government, and we still run it to this day on behalf of the government. There needs to be something similar in the Gambia, because many people are dying of cancers and they're not even aware. So as well as marking the day, what we always use the day to do is to raise awareness of the various types of cancers that affect men and women.
Mr. Drami believes raising awareness about cancer should be a daily thing to show the seriousness of it. adding that young people in schools and universities should be taught about the signs to look out for. He then gave this advice.
If you have a relative or a friend and you start seeing signs because you've looked up what the signs are, speak to them and encourage them to go forward, because a lot of people, funnily enough, it's one of these things that if people think they have it, they don't want to go and get confirmation that they have it, but that makes it worse, because by the time you do get confirmation, it might be too late. So don't leave it too late. If you become suspicious that you might have something that's cancerous, go and get a doctor to look at you and diagnose it properly, and then the earlier the treatment, the better your chances of survival.
The most common cancers recorded in Gambian females is cervix cancer, representing 49.7%, and breast cancer at 14.6%. In the male category is liver cancer, representing 42.6%, lung cancer 10.4%, and prostate cancer at 9.6%. The World Cancer Declaration is pressing on government, health policymakers, and individuals to significantly reduce the global cancer burden, promote greater equity, and integrate cancer control into the World Health and Development Agenda. For QTV News, Lolly M. Kamara.
Now on to sports news. Senegal reached the Africa Cup of Nations AFCON final on Wednesday following a hard-fought 3-1 win over the Stallions of Burkina Faso. The Lions of Teranga will play the AFCON final for the second time in a row, and this time they will face Egypt. Fode Mane went out to gauge the reaction of some of the Senegalese community ahead of Sunday's final, and this is his report.
Both teams cancelled out each other in a goalless first half. In the second half, in the 78th minute, Abdou Diallo broke the deadlock for Senegal with a scrappy goal. Minutes later, Sadio Mane found Idrissa Gana Gueye in an exposed defense of the Burkinabe, who alongside Bamba Dieng doubled Senegal's lead. However, with 8 minutes left to the end of the game, Blati Touré restored hope in the Stallions after turning in Issa Kabore's cross with his knee to make it 2-1. While Burkina Faso were fighting for an equalizer, the decisive goal came from Sadio Mane, who took advantage from a counter-attack from a mix-up to hand Senegal a deserved 3-1 win. Speaking to some joyous Senegalese fans in the Gambia, most of whom on Thursday morning dressed in their national colours, Tala Kobar and Alaji Yusuf Njai said the win over Burkina Faso was a happy moment for the entire Senegalese population, at home and abroad.
We are very happy as a nation. We passed a lot of games before reaching the final, and the boys tried to win, and now we are in the final. We now focus on that game, and we pray we win the final this time around. It is nice to have those small boys in the team who have been fighting and winning.
For Matar Joe, Wednesday's victory was for all the West African countries, and he urged the sub-regional nation to support Senegal in the final.
This should have been between Gambia and Senegal, but unfortunately, the Gambia participated and shows that they are heroes in their first appearance and make it to the quarterfinals. That was a huge achievement for them. Now all that we need to do is to support Senegal, because if they win, meaning it's West Africa that wins, and inshallah, we will achieve that.
Cherno Ibrahim, another Lions of Teranga fan, has this to say.
We are very happy for the boys. They have really worked hard to reach this level. Now we are praying to bring the trophy home. That is all what is left. We want to come back here on Sunday to celebrate.
Senegal will play in the AFCON final for the third time in their history, but still await winning African football's biggest prize. With the likes of the newly awarded FIFA World Best Goalkeeper, Edouard Mendy of Chelsea, Napoli and PSG defenders Kalidou Koulibaly and Abdou Diallo respectively, Bouna Sarr of Bayern Munich, Idrissa Gana Gueye of PSG, Ismaila Sarr of Watford, while Sadio Mane needs no introduction. Coach Aliou Cissé has some formidable talent in his team that could see them triumph in Sunday's final against Egypt. Reporting for QTV News, I am Fode Mane.
Egypt beat host Cameroon to reach the AFCON final, putting the Pharaohs against Senegal's Teranga Lions in the final on Sunday. Our sports reporter Mamoudou Gajaga watched it all, and this is his report.
Egypt edged out Cameroon on penalties after a 0-0 draw in 120 minutes of football. Goalkeeper Gabassi became the hero, saving 2 penalties before Clinton Jai's poor spot kick went wide. Cameroon had hit the post twice in the game. They also came close at the near post twice, with Egypt's goalkeeper Gabassi making timely saves on both occasions. Late in the second half, Egypt's star player Mohamed Salah broke away to run on goal, but Cameroon keeper Andre Onana came off his line, stopping Salah's dribble with his left leg. Penalties separated the two teams. Egypt had brilliant penalty takers, while Cameroon players were awful in taking their spot kicks, except for captain Vincent Aboubakar. Egypt will play Senegal in the final on Sunday, pitting Liverpool teammates Sadio Mane and Mohamed Salah, making it more interesting. The Teranga Lions are looking for their first Africa Cup of Nations title, while Egypt want to add another to their already 7 trophies, which is a record. Mamoudou Gajaga, QTV News.
That's all we have for you in this bulletin of QTV News. Join us tomorrow for more news. Thank you for watching.